Okay, so 720p, 720p, and well, I don't know what P, but who's going to win in this screen quality battle? Let's find out. When choosing your next smartphone, the biggest question we get from everyone is which one's better. And probably the best way to determine that is look at the screen quality. I mean, the screen is going to be your companion from here on because everything around the smartphone is just there to power the screen anyway. So we've got pretty much the three best smartphones in the market with screen quality. We've got the Sony Xperia S, we've got the Samsung Galaxy Nexus, and we've got the iPhone 4S. We've got 720p resolution here, 720p on the Galaxy Nexus also, and we've got 960 by 640 on the iPhone 4S, which there is their Retina display, so let's determine which one's best in a couple of comparisons. Now, showing you screen quality on video is kind of difficult because you need a really good lens to show that off. I'm using my Canon EOS Rebel T3i DSLR for this video, so bear with me here. It'll do a really good job at showing you quality, but if I zoom in, you'll notice that mechanically it'll take it a while to focus. Sometimes it won't. So we've got the iPhone 4S at the left. This device has got an Ips Technology Display. This is the Retina Display from Apple, which is 960 by 640 resolution. We've got 326 pixels per inch right here. At the right, we've got the Samsung Galaxy Nexus Super AMOLED HD technology. We've got a 4.65-inch display, 1280 by 720. This one gives us a 315 pixels per inch density. And then we've got the Sony Xperia S. It's got a Bravia engine to provide colors and contrast, and we've got a 4.3-inch display, 1280 by 720. But what's interesting here is that because it's a smaller screen than the Galaxy Nexus, we've got 342 pixels per inch. If we would guide ourselves only by pixel density, the Sony Xperia S would be the winner so far. Now, how do these devices handle text? Well, again, we've got the same devices here, and if we try to zoom in as much as we can, and also bear with me, I can't set the screen brightness to maximum on these devices because that will throw the camera off exposure. We've got the Sony Xperia S in the middle right now. I'm going to move these aside, and I cannot see pixels on the Sony Xperia S. It's very difficult. You have to try to zoom in as much as you can, and let's try to do that without leaving focus. There we are. You'll notice that you can barely see pixels here. Now, let's try the Samsung Galaxy Nexus right now, and we're there at the same page from the Kindle application, and you'll notice that with the Galaxy Nexus, you can see pixels, but it's also very tough to find them. I mean, the Galaxy Nexus doesn't have the best screen in the world. I'd give that to the Samsung Galaxy S2 if it would at least give me the 720p resolution, but you'll notice you can't see pixels. And obviously, the iPhone 4S, well, the Retina display will definitely not show you pixels because it has a lot more pixels per inch. If we did not compare it to the Sony Xperia S, you can't see pixels on this device. You can barely see them. So now if we stack the devices side by side, it's kind of hard to decide which one's better handling text. It would be hard to decide between the iPhone 4S and the Sony Xperia S, and then the Galaxy Nexus doesn't really do a bad job at handling text either. So in my particular case, I would either choose the Sony Xperia S or the Samsung Galaxy Nexus just because I could see more text than I can with the iPhone 4S. You'll notice that obviously, since both devices are set to 720p resolution, you have probably almost the same amount of text on each of these devices. They end up at a different word for some reason, but still, these are the obvious two winners here. The iPhone 4S does a really good job with pixels per inch, but still, you can see a lot less words here. Now, if we would try to measure image reproduction, you'll notice that, hey, everybody asked me which dogs do I have, so this is Diva, this is one of my two Chihuahuas, and we're going to try to zoom in as much as we can because all three devices do a good job at reproducing the image. All three of them do a good job with the colors and everything, but for some reason the Samsung Galaxy Nexus does a better job at zooming in than the rest of the devices. Try to zoom in at Diva's eye here as much as I can, and the Galaxy Nexus does not blur out at any point, and this is an 18 megapixel photo being rendered on all three devices. For some reason, the Galaxy Nexus does a better job at handling it, even though it ends up blurring at some point. But if you'll notice, the color quality on each of these three devices is really good. It's kind of hard to tell which device does a better job in comparing colors. So let's try to move into a different image here. Let's try to zoom out in the iPhone 4S. This photo we took at MWC. I'm going to try to find it here on the Sony Xperia S. Here we go. We've Everybody knows the Nokia PureView 808, and you'll notice off the bat, colors on all three devices are great. To be honest with you, I'm liking the Galaxy Nexus a little more, even though the Xperia S does an equal job at handling color. For some reason, the iPhone 4S looks a little whiter than it should, probably a little less warm than the rest of the devices when handling color. You notice that the reds are red, but the Xperia S handles blacks much better than the Galaxy Nexus, if you would ask me. Notice the black coating around the Nokia device here. Then notice it at the Galaxy Nexus. This is black. And let's see with the iPhone 4S. It's kind of a tough one. All these images are 18 megapixels taken from the same DSLR, and for some reason I noticed that the Xperia S handles them better, though the Samsung Galaxy Nexus is not far off at all. And if we would try to measure the ability of each of these three devices in handling streaming video, well, we've got the same video. This is yesterday's Android Revolution running from our YouTube channel, and let's see which device handles color and detail better. So far, I've got to tell you, well, these three devices do a really good job, but for some reason, I love the detail on the Sony Xperia S. The skin tone looks amazing on the Xperia S if we would compare it to the Samsung Galaxy Nexus and to the iPhone 4S. For some reason, this is the same video, all in HD quality from our YouTube channel, and you'll notice that for some reason, the Xperia S does a better job at handling detail. For some reason, the Galaxy Nexus looks a tad blurry, and the iPhone 4S doesn't look blurry at all, but the problem is you've got this small screen in comparison to this large screen. Honestly, it's a tough call. It all depends on you. All three devices are flagship devices. It's up to you. But so far, if it wasn't for the terrible battery life on the Xperia S that you saw in my review, so far this device is handling everything better when it comes to screen. The Bravia engine does a much better job in handling not only color clarity, but also detail and also streaming. Honestly, for me, the device, in my particular case, would be the Sony Xperia S, though again, I'm a big fan of the Samsung Galaxy Nexus. These are my two daily drivers, the Galaxy Nexus and the iPhone 4S, and so far I've got to say it's kind of a tough call. It all depends on you. So far I'd say that the Bravia engine is promising. Let's just hope they get ice cream sandwich on this phone soon. That's it for our video comparison of the screen quality between the Sony Xperia S, the Samsung Galaxy Nexus, and the iPhone 4S. Be sure to give us a thumbs up if you like what you saw. I'm Jaime Rivera. Thank you very much for watching. That's it for now.